Hi netballers, we just want to try and keep you fit during this mini lockdown period. So we're going to take you through this series of exercises. This first one, we're going to be coming into the goblet squat. As you can see here, the feet are nice and wide into a sumo position. Then you want to come out of it. Use your hands into the prayer position and make sure you are pushing your elbows out into your knees. This is going to really help to try and open up the fronts of your hips, which is really important for when you are playing netball. So take your time getting deeper into this position. From here then, place one hand down on the inside of the foot and open up into thoracic rotation. So take your time feeling yourself into that stretch. Each time you go, aim to time your breathing in and then breathing out as you open that stretch up further. Ultimately aim to do about 5 to 10 reps on each side. So continue for as long as you feel you need to until this particular stretch feels more comfortable. So coming back now in just to the goblet, opening in and out of it. It should feel a lot easier being in this position than it was the first time you did it. Standing up now, we're going to be moving in towards a downward dog into a pigeon. Now curl your spine down first as you walk out. Find the most comfortable position for you, whether that be feet wider or feet narrow. Really try and push your hips up high into the downward dog. You're then going to take one leg up into the 90-90, which is called the pigeon stretch. You're going to feel that through the hip flexor on the back leg, as well as the glute on the front leg as you come through. Make sure again, you feel into the stretch, opening those hips up each time you come back up into that downward dog. Again, repeat about 5 or 10 on each side and continue doing this one for as long as you feel you need to until it feels more comfortable and easier to perform. From here, we're now going to travel between a downward dog into a high plank. So starting to get some load in through those shoulders, as well as just clicking in and activating your core as well, which is going to be really important for a few of the drills we'll get you to do after. From here, we're going to be starting now our hip switch. Now with our hip switch, we want to adopt that 90-90 position. Come out and really push those hips forward and feel the stretch. Do a couple in this position first before we start the switch. So what you're going to see now is you're going to switch the hips to the other 90-90 and coming up and opening through that anterior hip. Really try and use your arms as well so you get some activation in through the back of your shoulder blades all at the same time. So continue about 10 or so on each side as you're doing this. We're now going to be moving into a scorpion. Now a scorpion is essentially aiming for hip extension, lumbar extension and lumbar rotation. So really important to get these areas moving so that you are mobile whilst playing at netball. It's very much a forgotten area that people work on. You might even feel a stretch through the anterior hip at the same time. Just like all the others, aim for about 10 on each side. Each one should be getting easier every time you do it. From here now, I want you to relax your lower body and work the thoracic extension and rotation from your upper body. So your legs should essentially be doing nothing and your arms are doing all the movement. Okay, so again, getting some motor control in the upper body at the same time as mobility. Once you've done about 10 on each side, from there we'll be coming into a cobra type of movement. So bring those hands back to the push-up position, keep your hips down and arch through and look up. So we're aiming to get again some straight lumbar spine extension. Perform about 10 of these movements. Coming back into a downward dog before coming up and getting that upper body activating. Grab a mini band if you have one and get yourself into what we call a hip hinge position. So if I was to come and put a dowel across your back, you should have 3 points of contact between your head, middle spine and your tailbone. Take that mini band overhead and perform a row-like motion from a W into a Y. By doing this, we are making those shoulder blades start to work and connecting in with our core. Time to start a bit of a lunge movement mobility challenge. So here we're switching into the core again at the same time as getting some lumbar and thoracic extension and rotation. Try and do about 10 or so reaches in one lunge position before you switch over and do the same on the other. You might find that one side with doing this is harder to do than the other. That's completely normal, and that comes down to your core control. You might find whilst doing this that you actually get a stretch on the anterior hip, and that is perfectly normal because we are in a hip flexor stretch position. Once you've done this, we're going to take ourselves down into a child's pose position. Have the knees nice and wide and really control your breathing, trying to open up through the lowest part of your back. Hold it there again for as long as you need to reset. Then bring those knees under the hips, hands under shoulders, and doing a few of our cat and cow arches. Again, trying to round out through the spine, taking your neck down into full flexion. Come back down into child's pose so you can feel that stretch again. Pop those hips, knees under hips and hands under shoulders once more, as we're now going to adopt the bear hover position. So here our core is switched on. Really important that you have a stable and straight back. Hold it for as long as you can. Aim for a 30-second mark of holding it before you come down, reset, and then take yourself back up again into that hover. Time now to get up standing, and we're going to be working a drill called tall to short. So we're essentially working on deceleratory style drills, straight up onto your toes, coming back down. Now you really want to watch to make sure your knees are not caving inwards into a valgus stress as you are landing. Start with the double leg tall to shorts. Again, aim for about 10 of them, really trying to do a fast deceleratory movement. From here, you're going to progress to a single leg land. Now you're going to find this will challenge your stability a lot more, but it's really important with netball with all the landing and absorption forces we do. Aim now to do 10 tall to shorts with single leg land on one side, and then swap with 10 tall to shorts on the other side. So important that you make sure you are working both sides equally. The next fun drill you're going to be working on is more some quick feeds with reaction timing. Now this is best worked out if someone is calling what way for you to go. Left, right, forward. Now here we're performing it with a hop and stick type movement. So I've done left, I've done right, I've done forward. Now I'm going to hop backwards. So making sure you hold that, and you can also jump up in the air as one of the calls. Okay, so best worked with somebody else who's calling all those movements. From here, the other type of drills you can work is your fast feet with running one way, running the other, running backwards, running forwards, and also adding a jump into it. So just vary it up all the time to get your reaction timing in check. We're now going to work on some soleus strength. So we get into the lunge position, you can have some support. The front leg is the working leg. Really control that rise. 2 up and 2 to 3 on the way down. You may get some shaking and shuddering in that leg as you do it, and that's okay because it will fatigue quite quickly. The soleus is the powerhouse to running and jumping, so really important it is not forgotten. Everybody works the calf, but not everybody works the soleus muscle. Swapping sides and performing again to fatigue on the opposite side. Now I'm only showing you 1 set here, but you can do 2 or 3 sets, as many as is needed to ensure that we get some good muscle burn. Grab a netball if you can You're going to just do some single leg balancing whilst swirling the netball around. Now make sure you are doing anti-clockwise as well as clockwise balance work, because they both will challenge you differently. Also make sure you balance on your right and your left. You will find a difference between both. So here we're swapping directions. You can also throw the netball from side to side whilst doing your balance drills to work your hand-eye coordination as well. Grab that mini band and pop it around your ankles. You are now going to perform a crab walk whilst throwing the netball. Really important those knees stay nice and wide and track out over the toes. Having the band around your ankles ensures that the glutes are firing the most that they can. You're now going to balance on one leg and perform a reach out, like a defensive reach, whilst the other leg goes back towards extension. So here we're working stability, we're working glute strength on the moving leg, as well as upper body movement. So with that mini band, we're going to be reaching out, as I said, like defending, swapping to the other side. You're going to find one side harder than the other. From here, we're going to move the mini band up to around the knee. So we're now targeting those glutes a little bit more. Come down into a deep squat, we can hold it. Now this can be done against the wall, but if you don't have to, that would be great. And throwing that netball up and down whilst holding that deep squat. Again, hand-eye coordination at the same time as working the quads. You can see here that my knees are tracking out of my second toes. Really important they do not cave in. You're done with the mini band and the ball for the moment. Now I've got a slider here we're using. Now if you've got carpet, you can essentially use a cardboard, an ice cream container lid, whatever will slide. We're working those groin or adductors at the same time as your quadricep and core control. So I'm now sliding backwards. Aim for about 10 out to the side and 10 back. If you have tiles, you can use a hand towel that will slide quite nicely on the surface. So making sure, as always, repeating to the other side, really controlling the position of the knee. We hope you have had fun with these workouts. Just reach out if you need anything at all during this mini lockdown. We are open.